Three-star General Keith Kellogg, former national security advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, co-chairman for the Center for American Security, and a Fox News contributor. General, good to have you with us today. I got a lot of questions for you, so I want to jump right in. With regard to the MiG-29s, because the word now from the Pentagon is that these would not be particularly useful. But that's not the message that we got in the beginning, right? The message in the beginning was that there was going to be a green light for that to go through. Then it was the planes were going to go through NATO. Now it's, you know what, they really aren't what Ukraine needs, actually. How do you see it?
That's a dumb comment. Look, Iraq is important today. And 29 MiGs, and that's what they are. They've got basically 29 MiG-29s that Poland has. They're a fourth-generation fighter, meaning they're at the top of the line. The only one higher is a fifth generation, which they don't have and the Russians don't really have either. It would have helped them very well in any fight over the western part of Ukraine or even the eastern part. So for somebody to say that, it's just a foolish comment. Of course they can use them. Of course they need them. We should figure out some way, Martha, for us to get them those MiG-29s. Here's the other part, though. They're NATO fighters. What I mean by NATO fighters is the onboard avionics are basically built into the NATO bridge, the electronic bridge. And if something ever comes up that we need to get NATO involved, it's a fighter that would be very, very useful in any fight. So, of course, they could use them.
Yeah, I know there was some concern about having that capability on that plane, that it would look like it was a NATO plane and not a plane from Poland. I want to ask you another question, which hasn't really gotten that much attention, and it has to do with General Gerasimov. And we're going to show you the picture. This general, who is believed to have been killed near Kharkiv, is one of the very top. I mean, imagine, our top generals in the military who you see on TV. This man at the end of the table, there are reports that he was killed in Kharkiv. What do you think, General Kellogg? Do you believe that he was taken out? And B, why would he have been on the battlefield in the line of fire in the first place at this point?
Yeah, well, good. I think it's good to kill generals. What I mean by that is, when you kill generals, it raises the morale of the opposing. In other words, when the Ukrainians killed him, it'll raise their morale. And he's a good fighter. The two generals they've lost were very forward-fighting generals. That's what you want. One was commander of the 7th Airborne. When you kill generals like that, who are fighting generals, it diminishes the morale on the other side. So it's always good, and they should get that out there. It just shows to me that the Ukrainians are targeting well. They're killing the people they should be killing. And I will tell you, when it comes to morale purposes, I used to make a kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment. A dead general is always good for morale. I don't know whose morale it is, but I'm sure it's good for the Ukrainians. So it was a good shot by Ukrainians.
Yeah, and there were some reports that he was out there because morale is so low that they needed to see someone of his rank.
That's right.
Putting himself out there and raising the troops' morale. And if it's true that he's dead, he was the #1 conduit of, of the military who spoke to our top people at moments when that was appropriate. And obviously, a real confidant to Vladimir Putin. So it's a pretty extraordinary story. I want to play this for you. This is the Klitschko brothers, because I'm thinking about Kyiv. And I'm thinking about what might be coming to that city over the next days, hours, whatever the time frame is. And I think about Vladimir Zelensky, who's been holed up there for 15 days in the parliament, or in the main buildings, or somewhere around there in the safest place possible. This is Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko. Excuse me. Vitaly is the mayor. They were world famous boxers that people filled Wembley Stadium to watch them box. And this is what they're doing now and pleading for now. Watch this.
We are determined to defend our home. This is our home. And there is nothing that possibly can stop us.
We stand in Kyiv. Kyiv is not just a building. Kyiv is the people who live here. And we ready to defend our family, our houses, our city.
I mean, these guys and obviously the president you hear about these terrifying reports of, Russians wanting to do public executions. And it just scares me, having watched these individuals who've been so brave to stay in Kyiv this whole time. What are your thoughts about these leaders?
Yeah, look, Putin's really underestimated the Ukrainian people and their leadership. You're looking at a leader like Zelensky, who's truly Churchillian in how he's talked and how he's acted when he told Putin, you know, when you come at us, you're going to see my face, not my back. And these are the kind of leaders that are so important. There's an old axiom, goes back over hundreds of years with Napoleon, when he said, the morale to the physical is 3:1. And what that meant is you can never underestimate the elan, the fighting spirit of an army and of a people. Putin's finding that out. He's made right now. He's made a huge mistake. He underestimated Zelensky. He underestimated the Ukrainian people, and he's paying a price. Look, if he doesn't take Kyiv and he doesn't change the government out, he's going to lose. He has to take it. It's the culminating event. He made a big mistake by not waiting the main attack. In other words, pushing the majority of his forces into Kyiv to take the city early. Remember, our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said Kyiv would fall in 72 hours or in 15 days. And if he doesn't lose, if they hold that city and they're able to win that fight, Putin has lost the war.
Do you fear that he will use chemical weapons? It's been discussed a lot in the past 24 hours. And when he raises a question, he seems to be following through with it these days.
Martha, I'm sorry, you just broke out.
I'm asking if you think that Vladimir Putin will use chemical weapons in the fight against Kyiv.
Yeah. Look, I hope to God he doesn't, because if he uses chemical or biological or even a nuclear weapon, he's changed the whole face of that fight. And I think that's when the entire world will turn. And I think you'll see some type of introduction of military forces beyond just NATO going in to say we're not going to tolerate this. You cannot tolerate the use of nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, or biological weapons on a civilian population. That is beyond a war crime. And I think the world will take notice and the world will react. And if he does that, I would triple my bodyguards if I was Vladimir Putin.
Well, we saw what happened in Syria. We saw President Trump's reaction to that. We're waiting sort of for a clear line to be drawn about what that would mean from this White House as well. General, thank you very much. General Keith Kellogg, always good to have you with us, sir.